Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I am President-elect Courtney Piccolo, filling in today for President Aaron Jacobs. As you all know, we start out our meeting by reciting the four-way test, so if you would please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? First, I want to thank everybody for showing up today. It's a holiday. On June 19th, 1865, the last enslaved people in Texas learned that they were free, marking the end of slavery in the U.S. Today, we celebrate Juneteenth and the freedom and equality for all. Our opening song today, Amazing Grace, and the pledge will be led by Mike Osherman, followed by the invocation by Steve Feldman, and visitor introductions by Ray Rosen. Mike?
You just stole my explanation of my song. Well, it's good that everybody knows now. So today's song is dedicated to June 19th. It is what Courtney just described to you. But today's song was written by a former slave trader who had a near-death experience on a slave ship. This compelled him to become an emancipator and minister. If you know the lyrics, please join me in singing the first and second verses of Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Let's pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a word of prayer. Dear Lord of all people, we come to you today as a Rotary Club filled with gratitude for many things, for community and conversation, for good food and friendly people who serve it to us, and mostly perhaps for high ideals and opportunities to fulfill those ideals, if even a little bit. Today, though, I come here mindful of our speakers today, their mission and their worries. And I was reminded of the poem by composer Kurt Nestor, which says in part, "Can you hear the prayer of the children on bended knee in the shadow of an unknown room, empty eyes with no more tears to cry, turning heavenward toward the light? Can you feel the hearts of the children aching for home, for something of their very own, reaching hands with nothing to hold on to, but hope for a better day? If children are the future of the world, Lord, remind us that they will inherit the world we give to them. Amen."
I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guest for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand if you are able and remain standing until President-elect Courtney has welcomed you. First, Sarah O'Brien, guest of past President John Kleindienst. Andrew Koplitz, guest of Brian Grimm. Bethany Richardson, guest of Brian Grimm. Laura O'Grady, guest of Brian Grimm. Tatiana Abreu, guest of Brian Grimm. Natalie Williams, guest of past President Dave Meckley. Mindy McDonald, guest of past President Ann Druck. Michelle Mummert, guest of Natalie Gunderson. Pete Brubaker, guest of Natalie Gunderson. Lee Anthony Raguso, guest of Teresa Gregory. Ashana Taylor, guest of Gina Spangler. Sydney Seiler, guest of Matt Seiler. Cindy Fruit Trail, guest of Christy Rengillian. Katie Kinsley, guest of Christy Rengillian. Suli Pinos, guest of Kevin Schreiber. Mariana Schutt, guest of Kevin Schreiber. Brendan Salyards, guest of Kevin Schreiber. Casey Nixon, guest of Kevin Schreiber. Brooke Jordan, guest of Kevin Schreiber. Natalie Javit, guest of Kevin Schreiber. And Eddie Papp, guest of Debbie Ashway. I now turn the podium back to President-elect Courtney.
Guests, it is a pleasure to have you with us here today. I hope you've enjoyed a delicious meal and met some friendly Rotarians, and I'm sure that you will enjoy today's program. Please visit us as often as you would like, and by all means, consider if becoming a Rotarian is right for you. Rotarians, please join me in welcoming our guests. Now for some announcements. The Youth Exchange Committee will meet tomorrow at 12 p.m. noon on Zoom. The IDEA Committee will meet on June 24th at 8 a.m. on Zoom. The Membership Committee will meet that same day, June 24th at 4 p.m. on Zoom and at Fox 43, either or. The Communications Committee will meet on June 25th at 3:30 at Regents Glen. And as a reminder for next week, we will not be meeting, so do not show up next week. None of us will be here, so make sure you mark that on your calendar. Oh, 2 weeks. Thank you. My goodness. Yes, please come next week. It's Aaron's last day as president. Woo! He will not be happy with me. That's, whoops. Okay. Yeah, so in 2 weeks from now, yes, please be sure to come next week. All right. Thank you. All right. Networking events. So we have a networking event that's coming up Friday, July 12th. Mark your calendar. It's at noon. Ophelia's Making Agency at 251 West Market Street. This will include a tour of Ophelia's 3 facilities to observe artists working. You'll learn about the opportunities that these artists have with Rotarian Ophelia Chambliss as their mentor. Lunch will be served. There's no cost to attend. If you are interested in attending, you would want to RSVP to past President Rob Bowen over here. So RSVP as soon as possible to Rob, July 12th. And now I would like to turn the podium over to Darren Smith, who will join us for a Love for Community announcement. Darren.
Good morning, fellow Rotarian members. So today, here to talk to you about the Love for Community event. It's the most fun day in the calendar year, and I'd love to talk about all the fun we're going to have. But before I get to that, I want to talk about money. That is the reason we put this event on. We need sponsors. We need you to all come out and have fun. And those sponsors and that money, that's what allows this club to do so many of the wonderful things that we do in our community. It allows us all the wonderful things we do, all the benefits that we add. So before I get to the fun stuff, I want to go through the list of sponsors who've signed up already. And I know I want to give these people big accolades because they're a huge part of why we do what we do. But I know we're going to be able to add to this list over the coming weeks. So right off the bat, our presenting sponsors are Jeff Hamill with North Industrial Chemical and Chris Top from Fox 43. Let's just give them a round of applause. Thank you. Yeah, they both stepped up big. They've been our main sponsors for several years, and we were very appreciative. Also, our diamond sponsor we have already signed up is WellSpan. Very happy about that. Our platinum sponsor we signed up is the Powder Mill Foundation, and we're grateful. And then we have 3 gold sponsors already, RKL, York Day Early Learning, and Solid Growth Properties. So just very, very happy to have so many already. We've had a lot of momentum, and I know this is going to be our best year ever. So, all right, so now to the fun stuff. So we really we've been up in our game a lot. The fundraising committee, Dee, my co-chair, and all the members have really put a lot of effort into always trying to think of new ways we can improve, how we can make it better. And what we've done in recent years, we've added cornhole to the mix, and that's been a ton of fun with Dan. And we've also added pickleball. A lot of people are coming out and enjoying that as well. The other sports we have, of course, are golf, tennis, and croquet, and those are always a hit. So at any level that you're at, any ability, you know, if you can hit a little ball through a wick, that croquet is a ton of fun. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend that. We've also our live auction and our auction. We are way ahead of where we normally are at this point. So many of you were grateful. The items you've been donating already. Our newest committee member, Sarah, she's added in some great items that she's done with other charities. So definitely come out for the dinner. We've also upped the dinner game as well. We're now doing surf and turf. We're trying to make that as really as nice as we possibly can. So if you've come out in past years, you're going to be more impressed than you have in the past. And for those who haven't come out yet and joined us for the dinner and fun, you absolutely need to do that. So today, the link goes live for sponsorships. So I don't know if that might have gone out in the minutes. Like most of you, I might not have read those that came out. But if it didn't, I know it'll be coming out soon. So please go to that link, click on it. It's very easy to put in your names and sign up for sponsorships. And we hope to see you for a lot of fun and food on September 9th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren. And now I would like to invite Kelly Gibson, Chair of York Rotary Grants, to the podium to share with you who we awarded some of our recent grants to. Kelly.
Chris Toff, are you here today? Not today. Okay. We want to give another shout out to Chris and the foundation for making these grants possible. To all of the members on the grants committee, we gave you a hard task this year. We had some really amazing applications for our York Rotary grants. Again, our focus areas were on cultivating youth success and improving the York City environment based on our new mission here and focus areas at Rotary. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on these amazing projects that we were able to support. So Family First Health is going to be providing a actual clinic, a health clinic inside William Penn High School. So we're really thrilled about supporting that really game-changing medical access that our youth will have. The Advantage program is mobility. So to further expand by their programming, they'll be able to get a 15-passenger van to help facilitate transporting their mentees. We have Positive Energy Arts, who is going to be doing Dance in the Gym, which is 10 weeks of hip hop residency in place of gym classes for 3rd and 4th graders in York City elementary schools. And the Girl Scouts in the Heart of Pennsylvania is going to be doing an academic edge program within the York City School District, working with STEM, outdoor life skills, and all of this for York City youth. And Rainbow Rose Center is going to hold summits, mini summits with LGBTQIA+ students and York County school districts to come together and do workshops. And the York Fresh Food Farms is going to do an amazing group project that's going to out all throughout the city, a birdhouse building project that will start with members of Crispus Attucks Work Advantage program, who will help create these wooden birdhouse kits that will then be going into city parks and garden centers, and kids and families will get to work on them and then put them up for display. So we're really excited about how long-reaching that will be. So once again, thank you so much to everyone who helps on the grants committee. If you're interested in this work, we can always use new members, but they make the decisions and they score these applications, and then we will go back and review and come up with our new guidelines for next year. So thanks to all of you who have supported this through the Rotary Foundation and for Fox 43. And one last announcement, personally. This Friday is Make Music Day. It's an international celebration of free making music activities. I hope you get to do one on Friday. There are 66 events all throughout the county, and we're culminating in a York Revolution baseball game, home game against the Stormers. And I have free tickets to the game if anybody wants to go. See me after the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. And now I would like to invite Gina Spangler to the podium to induct a new member to our club.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you? All right, we can do better, right? Good afternoon. Woo! All right. So I am so happy and privileged to be able to announce and introduce Madeline, our newest member. Some of you may know Madeline. She's been here before. In fact, I met her here the very first time. She was here to speak about the Hispanic Coalition and the work that they do in York County to raise funds for scholarships for Latinos in the York County community. Madeline is a district parent liaison for the City of York School District. She has been there for 24 years. She's also a graduate of Penn State York and Kansas State University. She is currently attending graduate school at Wilson College. And she is very, very involved in the community. As you know, she is the chair for the York County Hispanic Coalition. She is a York XL board member. And as well, she is the Human Relations Commission. She's a commissioner on that committee. Again, some of you also know Madeline is very instrumental in getting organized and hosting for us the Three Kings event that happens at York High every year in January. Some of you, I see Kelly, you're nodding your head. We had a great time this year donating all the toys, and we took that on as a Rotary, as a ID committee and as the youth exchange to sponsor that project this year. So after we did that, she could not say no to joining our club, right? Personal information about Madeline. She does have 3 children. I know it's hard to believe she has 5 grandchildren. She looks so young. Must be working with the parents at the school district that keep you that way, right? And her hobbies are helping in the community, obviously, dancing and learning. She's continually to learn, and we're excited to have her on board with us as a Rotarian. So welcome, Madeline. Yeah.
Thank you, Gina, and Madeline. Welcome to the club. We're very excited to have you a part of it. And now I would like to invite past president Dave Meckley to the podium to introduce our speaker for today. Dave.
Thank you. I'd like each of you to think about 2 questions. If you could change one thing about York County, what would it be? And what would it take to actually make that change? The role of foundations in York County is evolving, and through collaboration, in addition to responding to grant applications, foundations are starting to proactively lead by funding initiatives to generate innovative ideas and implement solutions to significant community issues. The data regarding the challenges of early childhood education has been persistent and concerning for decades. The solutions elusive and seemingly impossible. But what if we could double the number of low-income children in high-quality early childhood education? Our community would be positively transformed in some significant ways. This is ECHO. Every child has opportunity. A collaboration funded by foundations and carried out through 2 existing high-performing community organizations, YCEA and Community Connections for Children. ECHO can immediately impact children and be a model for statewide change. And this change is not going to be overnight. And I suggest Doug Berman, who is going to be our Rotary president 3 years from now, consider a program 3 years from now on an update on ECHO. Katie Caples is leading that effort. Katie is a graduate of Frostburg State University and lives in Southern York County. She's a seasoned nonprofit manager and strategist with over 20 years of business and nonprofit experience. She has owned a boutique consulting company and worked in community and economic development, most recently early childhood education. After successfully consulting and crafting the ECHO action plan and brand, Katie was hired by Community Connections for Children to lead the ECHO initiative. Today, she'll share an update on how ECHO is strengthening the early childhood education ecosystem in York, along with an invitation to join the conversation. Please join me in welcoming Katie Caples.
Thank you, Dave, for that introduction, and thank you for your time today. It's an honor to be here and share something I'm so passionate about with all of you. Jumping in, some areas to cover this afternoon. Certainly ECHO's mission to double the number of low-income children here in our community who receive a high-quality education in their early childhood. Also talking about new grants and programs, giving you an update of all that we've accomplished in the short time that we've been working in this initiative, 6 months or so, and guiding themes of collaboration and innovation, which Dave certainly mentioned. But I want to start today inviting you into the conversation with a bit of reflection. Remember when? What was your early childhood like? What were those first 5 years of your life like? Who were the instrumental people in your life that really gave you the values and guidance that you needed to be where you are today? What locations were important to you in that process? Maybe it was family, church, faith, certainly organizations and community as well. But let's just take a moment to reflect on our youngest years. For me, I'm a farm girl born and bred in the mountains of Western Maryland, and I was often on the hip of my mom, tending garden, working cattle. My family was instrumental in my early childhood days, as was my church. But times have changed, right? 20 years experience, it's hard to even hear those words from Dave's mouth. When I think back, it doesn't seem that long. And for many of you, I'm sure you're feeling that too. But a lot has happened culturally. Our times have changed. And really, what does early childhood look like today? I'd invite you to think now of maybe a young family in your life. Maybe you have children, maybe a friend, a neighbor has children. For me, my passion in early childhood education comes from my daughters, who in the middle, 10 and 7 currently, and the impact that their early childhood educators had in their life. Miss Karen Allen is pictured, and it's cut off a bit there. My oldest is cut off, but Karen Allen was instrumental in their early development. She was their preschool teacher as they entered right before kindergarten at Christ Lutheran Preschool, a friend, absolute essential person and influence in their lives, and very much part of my family's ecosystem. And we have a lot of that today. We have early childhood educators in the room doing the work, really leading the cause. But I really want to personalize the topic today. We think of early childhood education. It might not relate to you right now at this chapter of life, but it's absolutely essential, to Dave's point, to our future generations. I want to run through just kind of setting the stage of where we are with early childhood education, and then we'll jump into the really exciting things that we have going on. First and foremost, access to childcare. In a recent YCEA survey, childcare focused survey, 3 out of 4 people surveyed indicated that their employment is impacted by access to childcare. 3 out of 4 people here in our community. 85%, that is the current operating capacity of our early childhood providers due to teacher shortages mostly. So they're not operating at 100%, even though their waiting lists are quite long. It's about 85% operating capacity on average. 1,400, the number of early childhood educators, the projected number here in York County, $12.20. The average rate of pay for an early learning professional. United Way, Brian Grimm is in the room, and his team recently came out with ALICE data. 1 in 4 of our peers here in York County are within that ALICE threshold, and often our early childhood educators are in that due to low wages. So you can certainly see there's access issues. There's certainly teacher retention, low pay challenges in early childhood education. Affordability is a big one. In a recent report by Moms First, the average cost of 2 kids in childcare outpaces the average rent payment in all 50 states. So think, if you might not have young children, think of what your mortgage or rent line item is, double that, and that's what young families are faced with today. We can see the challenge continues to grow. And 1 in 3 in your workforce, again, maybe it's not you that's impacted with these choices daily, but 1 in 3 of your peers in your business are absolutely juggling parenthood and their work-life balance and trying to make decisions that are best for their children and their families. So I wanted to kind of set that stage today, invite you into the conversation and really talk about what ECHO is doing. But first, the community formula. Dave mentioned it is unique that the money comes first and then we're coming up with those ideas and how to implement, and very much a unique perspective. You're familiar with the York County Economic Action Plan by York County Economic Alliance. The county adopted that a handful of years ago and certainly highlighted childcare as a major need in our community. The formula includes 2 leading organizations, Community Connections for Children, which Christy Rangillian heads up, and she's here today, my employer, and then York County Economic Alliance. You're familiar with Kevin Schreiber and his team. So those are the 2 organizations leading ECHO. Major funders include Dave Meckley with the J. William Wareheim Foundation, Michael Haiti, representing Powder Mill Foundation, WellSpan Health is at the table, as is the United Way of York County, all committing $1 million over the next 3 years. And then additional funders include the York County Community Foundation and the Kinsley Foundation, respectively. In this first year, this initial year, we have $3.4 million. And again, 20-year career, never have I had the money initially to then figure out, okay, how do we really move the needle? How do we implement some change making here in our community and really get to the bottom line issue? I do want to share, and you're very familiar, York County is a longtime leader in early childhood education, focus on our future. Certainly, you've heard of the ELIC, Early Learning Investment Commissions, spearheaded by Pete and Tony, absolute game changers with the ECE award that they have implemented here, as well as rapid response, which is a recent development that started here in York County and is now a statewide initiative. So many good things have come out of York County, and we foresee that being the case again with this initiative. For every $1 invested in early childhood education, there's a $7.30 return. So it is a smart investment for our community, but we're certainly targeting those children and the future generations with our initiative. What is ECHO, you might ask? It is a catalyst for innovation and collaboration, as Dave mentioned. And really, it's a blueprint for addressing the systemic challenges of this industry, as well as the immediate needs that the pandemic certainly highlighted. And it really focuses on children, families, and our early childhood educators. The goal, as Dave mentioned, is 1,600 low-income children being impacted over the next 3 years. So really doubling that number of low-income children who receive that high-quality early childhood education. And we're doing that in a few different ways. We have 3 focus areas that have been identified through the action plan you've heard about. The first, children and families, then workforce, and community. If you'll go along with me on this journey, I'm excited to share some of the updates in these areas. For children and families, we have a task force that is really armed and geared to grow home-based providers here in our community. So many of you are familiar with the family provider network. So growing those home-based providers. We're also looking at creating opportunities and grants for our early childhood educators who provide those creative solutions, and then identifying pilot partnerships as well. And 2 really exciting opportunities that we're actually in the review phase of now for grants. And you certainly, I know your club is invested into the grant side of things too. The first is the ECHO Innovation Grant Program, and that is for family group and center providers who have interesting ideas to grow capacity and quality within their program. And the second is the Bloom ECHO Startup Home-Based Provider Grant Program. That's in partnership with YCEA's Bloom Business Empowerment Center. Sully and her team have been instrumental in that program. It's a smaller micro grant, but absolutely essential to growing our home-based providers. A quick update, and you might not be able to see this clearly, but we wanted to show the applicants for these two grant rounds that in the month of May that we received. Those in orange are for the innovation grant. Those in pink are for the Bloom startup grant. We have 15 unique zip codes represented: Hanover, Fawn Grove, Fairview Township, quite a wide variety and footprint throughout the county. You see a lot focused in York City and the greater York region as well. That's the more populated areas of our providers. But it was important to us that this is very much a county-wide initiative, and we feel strongly that we achieved that. A little bit of an update on the innovation grants. We received 35 applications in total. The grant range is $25,000 to $50,000, so a pretty substantial grant range for our provider community. 30 eligible applicants have moved on to the review process, $1.255 million in asks that we're reviewing currently. 22 centers, 2 group, and 6 family providers did submit applications, about half and half for nonprofit and for-profit businesses. With the projects on the table that are being reviewed, over 1,800 children will be impacted. And over 380 educators are impacted by these. We're not able to fund all in this initial round, but for those applicants, over 750 new children would be provided space in a high quality setting, and over 120 new early childhood professionals in the field. So really great statistics. My next slide shows, and those of you familiar with the PA Keys to Quality system, the rating system of our early childhood education providers, 4 out of 4 is the highest as far as quality goes on that scale. If you're a registered DHS, Department of Human Services registered provider, you're automatically a star 1. So you can see the majority of applicants are star 4 and star 2. With room for upward mobility in that particular system. Those applicants that we've received, about 40% serve as far as the low income population that they serve. So if we calculate, if only 1/3 of the star 1, 2, and 3 providers bump up 1 star level, that will bring in over $250,000 in child care work subsidy payments, an increase in payments due to that quality move up. So the higher on the scale of stars, the more money you receive in subsidy payments. So again, how are we leveraging private dollars here in our community with state funds and really maximizing impact? That's what it's about. And that's just one example of how that is shaping up. Giving you a brief idea of what those innovation grant applications projects are, pretty much we can sum them up into 3 buckets: expanded capacity, higher quality, and collaboration. So you can see what those look like, some light construction, behavioral mitigation, curriculum and furnishing of new classrooms, those types of things. So we're really pleased with the result of this first round, and we're excited for this process. We will be announcing grant awards in next month in July. So stay tuned, more information to come. I wanted to also share the great partnership with YCEA and the Bloom Business Empowerment Center for that startup grant. We received 13 applicants, 10 of which are eligible. Right around $200,000 in eligible requests for that. 100%, all 10 eligible applicants, you might be shocked, are female. 90% are BIPOC. 1 was a veteran or is a veteran. 90% of eligible businesses are already working with the Community Connections for Children team. We have staff, very experienced, awesome staff that works with startup businesses to help them, train them, get them up and running with licensing and business policies and procedures and that kind of thing. And 4 of the applicants submitted their application in Spanish. So a really good cross-section and great turnout from our Bloom partners. What those startup grants look like, again, what you might think of if you're starting an early childhood business in your home: fencing, supplies, materials, that kind of thing, security systems, licensing, and some outdoor experiential play equipment as well. The anticipated results of this particular program is at least 60 children having that high quality experience in their childhood. Each family provider can have up to 6 children, plus their own children if they are parents themselves. So at least 60. The unique aspect of our family providers is that they could offer second or third shift care as well. So we do expect those numbers to be higher, but this is a conservative estimate for this initial pilot round of programming, and very much a fast turnaround, a great partnership for both of these grant opportunities. And our early childhood education community has been absolutely very responsive in it. Jumping over to the workforce focus area briefly, obviously that recruiting and upskilling, the retention of educators is so huge. And so how can we impact that? We partnered with Junior Achievement and their virtual career fair to put ECE on the map for the first time for 7th to 12th graders here in our region. So that's one area that we've dived in, as well as coming alongside Community Progress Council, Robin and Ruth and their team with the teacher aid program that they have piloted for a year and a half now, where we are offering wraparound support, stipends for teachers, coach approach for mentor teachers, really giving them that structural support and funding necessary to pull off a successful program. We're actually taking that particular program as a model and expanding it to a countywide program. We will be announcing that program next month with likely August, September timeline of start date. So we're really excited about where that goes. I won't belabor the slide, but it's a CDA, which is a Child Development Associate degree, those stipends, that coach approach, and unique to this program, salary reimbursement for our providers. Teacher aides are brand new to the industry. They don't count in ratio as far as teachers to students. And so it's not an attractive line item in a budget of an early childhood business owner. So how can we give them support on that attraction side when they're just trying to keep their doors open with the teachers that they do have? So we're excited, and we'll let you know how that program goes. It will be launching soon. Community is the third focus area for ECHO. And that looks like these types of conversations, right? How do we get out and engage with our employer community? How do we share information and ideas? So really encouraging all parts of our community, big partnership with YCEA, again, on the advocacy side of things. How do we get in front of our policy and change makers to really start to change the conversation? We know we're not going to fundraise our way out of an early childhood education challenge. We need public dollars to come alongside, and we're hoping that we see that in the next few years, certainly. We have a new website as well. If you're looking for more information, you'll see a one-pager on your table. That's an at a glance. You'll see a recent article in the YoCo Connect all about ECHO and what we have going on. And then you can visit echoyork.org to tune in to the conversation as well. I do want to pause here for just a moment before we invite you into the conversation. For anyone that's a partner of ECHO, maybe you're a funding partner, maybe you serve on a task force, work at a partner organization, maybe you're an early childhood educator or leader that's absolutely part of our initiative. I just like to take a moment and have all of you stand, because you're really the ones doing the work day in and day out, and it's an honor and a privilege to work alongside you. So if you would, please stand to be recognized by everyone in the room today. Any one of those folks that stood up can absolutely engage in conversation with you, as I do turn the conversation into that engagement piece. How can you engage in early childhood education? I think first and foremost, have a conversation outside of this room about early childhood education today or tomorrow. Talk to a sibling, a child, a neighbor about their experience and what it looks like for them. Just start the conversation and then listen to the experience side. And certainly you're welcome to connect them to the ECHO initiative. But I think it's important that we hear firsthand experience and lived experience from those that are facing some of those challenges I mentioned about rent payment or early childhood education payment. The second, you're welcome to join a task force if this is an interest area for you. Those 3 priority areas: children and families, workforce, and community. We'd love to have you part of the conversation. Third, make a connection. Maybe you know someone personally that's looking to start a home-based business. We would love to provide support to that individual and come alongside them in coaching and certainly that resource side of things too. Or maybe you're interested in collaborating. Maybe you want to have an on-site childcare location for your employees or offer stipends to your employees with children. So just reach out. We'd love to have a conversation. We'd love to know what innovative things you're doing in your business for those 1 out of 3 employees who are facing the parenthood and work conversations. And then the fourth thing, reach out. I'm happy to have a conversation with you directly. My contact information is on the one pager on the table, as I have business cards if you'd like to connect too. But those are all ways that we can engage, and we certainly welcome you to the conversation. I think it is a unique partnership with 2 leading organizations and the funding partners. We have a funders advisory board, an operations committee, and then these 3 task forces that are really carrying out the work and engaging with these opportunities. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and certainly I'm happy to answer any questions.
First of all, thank you for your presentation. From the outside looking in, it seems like early childhood education has run in sort of cyclical circles. There's some kind of a discovery of deep problems. There's a community initiative that raises the standards, and then it kind of begins to lose public focus and begins to decline again, and then something else stimulates interest in it, which picks it up. I can think of perhaps 3 of these cycles just in my time of being accurate in the community. What is it that we can do to smooth that out and create a more sustainable early childhood experience for children, especially in the low to moderate income area?
Thank you for that question, and very well stated. The sustainability piece is absolutely huge, right? We don't want this to ebb and then flow in a couple years and then another thing pop up. How do we truly impact? And with ECHO, we feel empowering the business owners in early childhood education is really the way to go, and supporting them financially, which is why we're focused on granting out these dollars to those with ideas. And so how do we build that network of support while also advocating with our our politicians and those in decision-making rankings with true change and true transformation, right? So it's kind of a dual approach, but I do think it's very much how do we get these dollars in the hands of our early childhood business owners that can then generate more revenue and then continue to grow and evolve over time. I would certainly welcome Christy Rangillian or Kevin Schreiber to jump in at any point for questions too. They've certainly seen the tenure of early childhood education here in our community. But I do think, yeah, getting it to the hands of the people that are delivering the service and not kind of at that mid-level range, that those funds can get diluted. Any other questions?
Thank you very much. You're on a very important topic, particularly with respect to collaborations. One of my daughters trained and got involved in early childhood education through Teach for America. You mentioned a number of different partners. To me, Teach for America is notably missing, or is this something you are engaged with, I would assume? Can you tell me what kind of role or force multiplier might be found there?
Absolutely. Great question. Teach and the PDO, which is the Professional Development Organization here in Pennsylvania, are absolute partners at the table. We've had them in our task force conversations. And what we're looking to do with these private dollars in ECHO is to really expand impact, right? So we're not looking to take the place of Teach or take the place of PDO. We're looking to make those connections for those that are eligible and can join in those dollars to then expand and grow in that way. The apprentice, kind of that teacher aid model that I mentioned, are for folks brand new to ECE that would not otherwise qualify for TEACH or for PDO. TEACH is absolutely an essential part of our continuing education efforts in early childhood education. They offer not only the CDA, which is the Child Development Associate, they also offer a 2-year and 4-year reimbursement opportunity. And to your point, absolute partners at a state level, and definitely engaging them, as well as Octel. We're excited with Ruby Martin and Louisa Olivo Wolf, both of which are at Octel, the Office for Child Early Learning Development at the state. They're very much engaged in conversations too. But great point, and we're looking to stretch these dollars. So connect our providers to those opportunities, which they're very much aware of and engaged in. York County has one of the higher rates of counties amongst the Commonwealth that are engaged in TEACH and in PDO. But for this teacher aid program, having something local for folks brand new to the industry, something in person, which really hasn't come back yet from the pandemic. A lot of the continuing education opportunities for our ECE community are virtual right now. So with this teacher aid program, having something in person is so important for engaged learning and community building at that level. But great point, great resource, and we love our Teach for America partners. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Katie. I think I've got this right, and then I've got a question. You are not operating any facilities or teaching. You are merely distributing money that is coming from donations as well. State money, is that correct, from Kevin's group?
No, that's a great question. I can certainly clarify.
Yeah,
So
that's
ECHO
fair.
is that $3.4 million from private organizations here. Community Connections for Children is my employer. They're the Early Learning Resource Center, and they have access to a lot more funds and dollars. They're the Keystone Quality Stars. They do all of the subsidy payments. They're a partner in it. This is very much a unique initiative that's here just in York County. YCEA is leveraging those dollars to public and advocacy work. But the dollars we have are strictly private dollars, 3.4 million here in York County. We're able to expand that with our Keystone coaches that are out communicating and talking with providers. And I think it's a really unique partnership. And that's a great point and a great question. Community Connections for Children has the depth of knowledge in early childhood education. They're the ones that are working with our providers, upskilling them in the STARS program, and providing those payments for those low-income families. YCEA at the table is really that chamber, that advocacy arm, and the economic support with the business community. So with their breadth of reach at YCEA and the depth of knowledge in ECE with CCC, it's a really great partnership. But the dollars we have are strictly that $3.4 million for this year. Those additional funds that I mentioned that are coming in through that Keystone Stars program would be retained at the provider level. So at the business level, the business owner level. So think of, a center you might think of when you think of early learning. That's who would get those increased dollars from the state funding through that Child Care Works initiative.
Okay, well, that helps me. My add-on was, is there any effort or reason to reach out to the 17 how many school districts are in York County? Is it 17? 17. And that they would also be involved in early childhood?
Absolutely. Many of our school districts are involved in early childhood. Many of them have programs in-house for their high school students that also serve their community. I can think of 3 or 4 off the top of my head. But yes, we are actively engaged with our school districts, some of which serve on those task forces I mentioned. And those are some of the pilot partnerships that we'll be working on. So great point and very relevant to the conversation. Thank you.
Hi, Katie. Thank you. Kind of a comment and a question. I don't know if you guys work with this in your collaboration, but my daughter worked for, she's in early childhood education. And one of the things that was really helpful is she worked for Community Progress Council, and she was a teacher there. And that time was when she was getting ready to go into her student teaching piece of things, and was really a bonus for her was that counted, and she was being paid. So while it wasn't great pay, it was pay, because she moved back home, left her apartment, her roommate and all that, because she knew that was coming up. So I don't know if that's something that the agencies you work with use as a retention tool, because that would be something that could be, I think, a bonus for some of the college students that are getting ready to do their student teaching. Just
Absolutely.
yeah.
Great point, great comment. And our collegiate partners are at the table and very much interested in investment. York County School of Technology has a class as well in high school where they're coming out CDA ready. And again, they're all connected and partnered with our provider community to provide those hours and such. So great point, and well noted. Thank you.
Katie, thank you so much for being here today. And it sounds like past President Dave has already put a little bit of a bug in your ear to come back in 3 years. So we look forward to seeing the impact that you will have in a much needed area and a focus of our club, which is the youth. So Rotarians, another round of applause for Katie. Thank you. As you all know, instead of giving the speaker a gift, we purchased a book and we asked them to sign the book plate and we donate it locally. This week's book will be donated to YMCA of the Roses, along with a bookmark made by the students of Creative York. Next week, because the meeting is not canceled, we'll have our annual changing of the guards. I should know this, right? As we wrap up the Rotary year, President Aaron will be back and we'll take some time to reflect on his year as president and install new officers and directors for the 2024-2025 year, since our Rotary year ends in just 2 weeks here. So we will also be honoring more Paul Harris Fellows and look forward to seeing you then. This meeting is now adjourned.